Hi, this is Kevin Bommer, Deputy Director for the Colorado Municipal League, and I'd like to welcome you to this first installment of our video Statehouse Report. Each week when we send out the Statehouse Report, we'll include a video segment that will look at legislation that we're following, some of the impacts that it may have on municipalities, and what we expect in the days and weeks ahead. First off, on the affordable housing front, it appears that only one bill, Senate Bill 7, has a realistic chance of passing this year. That deals with the low-income housing tax credit and is scheduled for Senate Finance next week. There's been a number of water bills this year introduced already. Most of them deal with approved uses of reused water and gray water. However, House Bill 1008, a bill that CML supports, would help create a funding mechanism to boost the state's zebra mussel eradication and boat inspection program. CML is supporting that bill and will testify in favor of it, although we'll note how it is unfortunate that severance tax revenue that generally funds DNR programs is down so much that it's causing a fee to be requested. Senate Bill 3, considered this week by the Senate Ag Committee, passed on a 9-2 vote. That bill, if it goes all the way through, would restore funding to the Colorado Energy Office, an office that many municipalities have received grants from and is beneficial. It appears that a bipartisan solution is in the works based on the 9-2 passage in the Senate Ag Committee, but the bill still has a ways to go. Two bills related to fixing the marijuana tax mistake in last year's hospital provider fee bill, Senate Bill 267, which affected RTD and the Scientific and Cultural Facilities District, had been introduced. Senate Bill 88, which will be heard next Tuesday in Senate Finance, appears to be the vehicle that the legislature will get behind, as it has broad bipartisan support. That bill will restore the tax, or the ability to tax, for the affected districts. However, they will still have to go to the ballot to get approval. We expect a number of business personal property tax exemption bills this year, as is usually the case. Most of them that are introduced create additional exemptions but don't create any backfill to mitigate the impacts to local governments. CML traditionally opposes those bills unless they have a backfill mechanism, so we'll keep an eye on those. Broadband is going to be a big subject matter this session, and there are already two bills in dealing with funding rural broadband. Senate Bill 2 and the House Bill 1099 are not scheduled for action this coming week, but we will be watching them very closely. Senate Bill 2 would impact the high-cost support mechanism that has traditionally been used to expand dial tone in rural Colorado, and would redirect some of those monies to rural broadband. There's a lot of jostling for different amendments that are going on right now, so the League will be monitoring that very closely before we take a position on the bill or recommend a position through our policy process. House Bill 1099, which was just introduced, is another unique bill intended to help rural broadband access. Currently, the local incumbent provider is offered the right of first refusal if a competing telecom is awarded a grant that would be used to expand broadband. Unfortunately, as has happened a number of times, the incumbent provider exercises that right of first refusal and then provides slower service, often at a higher cost. House Bill 1099 would prevent that, and the League is likely to support that legislation. Beer and liquor will be an issue in the session, and we expect a number of bills to be introduced over the course of the session. On beer, the big issues will be related to Senate Bill 197, when on January 1st, fermented malt beverage licensees will be able to sell malt liquor. That's a concern that was already embedded in Senate Bill 197 as it relates to school distance restrictions and other issues. However, it's not clear whether an omnibus bill that's being discussed will ever get off the ground, and CML may have to run that legislation on our own. Marijuana issues, there will be a number of bills introduced, and we'll talk more about those in the weeks ahead as some of the bigger issues like on-site consumption become reality in terms of legislation. We encourage you to check in anytime on CML's bills followed at our website, cml.org, on our legislative page, where we list House and Senate bills that we're following, as well as support and opposed bills. You can also track day-to-day our Twitter feed at CO_municipal, where we check in from time to time on issues affecting municipalities in the State House. They also have a legislative blog called CML Legislative Matters. You can access directly at the CML website or legislativematters.wordpress.com. The blog offers us an opportunity to expand a little bit more on specific issues, and so far this session we've already written blogs on parafunding and how the local government division should be treated separately, as well as the rush to spend quote-unquote found money in the state budget for transportation and other items without looking at long-term protection of Colorado's severance tax in rural Colorado. And as mentioned, every week the Statehouse Report will come out, and not only will you be able to follow items on this video, but you'll be able to then click in to follow more details on the bills that CML is following and why those bills are important to municipalities. Thanks again, and we hope to see you in upcoming editions.